Welcome to episode 291 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Laws Guy. It's August 18, 2004. Port-au-Prince. The reigning world champions are moving through the streets of Haiti in United Nations armored vehicles. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos. Tens of thousands of people line the route. Brazilian flags everywhere. Haitian flags too. A few hours later, Haiti plays Brazil at the Stade Sylvio Cator. Brazil wins 6-0. And the Haitian crowd celebrates almost every goal, because this is not really about the score. It is O Jogo da Paz, the game of peace. But how did we get here? Haiti began 2004 celebrating the bicentenary of one of the most extraordinary events in world history. On January 1st, 1804, Haiti became independent after enslaved people defeated Napoleon's forces and created the world's first black republic. 200 years later, there was not much to celebrate. The country was desperately poor. Politics had become increasingly violent. President Jean-Bertrand Aristide faced an armed rebellion that began in Gonaive in February and spread rapidly. By the end of the month, rebels had captured major cities and were threatening Port-au-Prince. On February 29, Aristide left Haiti amid the rebellion and enormous international pressure. He later maintained that he had effectively enforced some power. More than 300 people had died during the political violence surrounding his removal. Haiti now had an interim president, Boniface Alessandre, and an interim prime minister, Gerard Latortue. Foreign troops arrived. First came a multinational force authorized by the United Nations Security Council. Then, on June 1st, the UN Stabilization Mission in Haiti took over. Its mandate included restoring security, supporting the political transition, and helping disarm armed groups. And the military component had a Brazilian commander, Lieutenant General Augusto Heleno Ribeiro Pereira. So Brazil had soldiers in Haiti. Then Gerard Latortue had another idea. Footballers. The story goes that Latortue told Brazilian journalists that a few Brazilian soccer stars might achieve more in disarming militias than thousands of peacekeepers. There was logic behind the joke, because Haitians loved Brazilian football, not casually, passionately. For decades, when Haiti could not see its own team at the World Cup, many Haitians adopted Brazil. Pelé, Zico, Romario, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho. When Brazil played, enormous numbers of Haitians treated the Seleção almost like a second national team. Brazilian President Lula liked Latortue's idea. Here was a chance to combine football with diplomacy. Brazil was taking an unusually prominent international role by leading the UN military mission. Now its most famous cultural export could arrive alongside it. A friendly was arranged. Haiti against Brazil, August 18, Port-au-Prince. And initially, there was an extraordinary plan. Exchange a gun for a ticket. The idea was explicit. Hand in a weapon, receive admission to watch the world champions. Brazilian officials were discussing it publicly by June. But then somebody noticed the obvious problem. If possession of a gun became the route into the most desirable event in Haiti, the people most likely to fill the stadium would be the very armed groups causing the violence. And if thousands of gunmen arrived without enough seats, well, the match for peace could become something very different. So the weapons for tickets scheme was abandoned. That distinction matters. It was generally proposed as a disarmament initiative, but nobody needed to arrive at the stadium carrying a rifle to get inside. The match instead became a broader symbol of peace and national reconciliation. And now Brazil had to get there. Security was extraordinary. The delegation flew into Haiti only hours before kickoff. From the airport to the Stade Sylvio Cator, they traveled in armored UN vehicles. The CBF archive photographs are surreal. Brazilian stars standing on armored vehicles, UN painted across the sides, Haitian and Brazilian flags waving together, masses of people pressing toward the convoy. Former Brazil defender Juan later remembered being told initially to remain inside the vehicles for security. Then the players emerged and began interacting with the crowd. He described seeing how deeply the Haitian population loved Brazilian football and how, briefly, people could forget what was happening around them. The stadium itself had been freshly painted and prepared. Around 15,000 people squeezed inside. Thousands more were left outside. Some ticket holders could not get in, and the pressure around the stadium became so intense that police and peacekeepers had to disperse crowds. Inside, though, there was a party, and Haiti's prime minister tried to make things interesting. Latortue promised $1,000 to the first Haitian player who would score against Brazil, and that's a lot of money in Haiti. There was only one problem. Brazil had Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, Juninho, Gilberto Silva, Belletti, and they were not especially interested in keeping the score polite. Lula had jokingly asked Carlos Alberto Pereira's team not to score too many. Apparently, nobody passed that message to Ronaldinho. For the first few minutes, Haiti actually pressed. Then Brazil started playing. 19th minute, Rocher makes it 1-0. 32 minutes, Ronaldinho receives the ball from Ronaldo, and now he produces the moment everyone remembers. He dribbles through the Haitian defense. One player, another. 5 men in total, including the goalkeeper, and then he rolls the ball into the empty net. The stadium erupts, not in anger, but in appreciation. Haiti are losing 2-0, and Haitians are applauding the man who just scored against them. Rocher makes it 3 before halftime. After the break, Ronaldinho scores from a free kick, and then another. Hat-trick. Nilmar, who has replaced Ronaldo, makes it 6. Haiti 0, Brazil 6. Rocher 2, Nilmar 1, Ronaldinho 3. And somehow, a 6-0 defeat feels like a celebration. Brazil coach Carlos Alberto Pereira had already won the World Cup. He had experienced enormous nights in football, but afterward, he said that if journalists ever asked him for the strongest emotion he had experienced in the game, he would tell them, this was it. But so what? Did the game of peace actually bring peace? No. That would give football powers. It would give football powers it does not possess. It didn't disarm Haiti. The weapons for tickets idea never happened. It didn't resolve the political crisis. It didn't heal the institutions of one of the most troubled countries in the Americas. And the evidence came quickly. By September 30, barely 6 weeks later, serious political violence had erupted again in Port-au-Prince. UN would remain in Haiti until 2017. Its legacy would itself become deeply controversial. There were accusations of excessive force and sexual abuse. And after the catastrophic 2010 earthquake, UN peacekeepers introduced cholera into Haiti, creating another tragedy. So it would be absurd to say that a football match solved Haiti. It surely didn't. But that doesn't mean it accomplished nothing. For one day, it produced something exceptionally rare, a shared national event. People from different political worlds occupied the same emotional space. It brought enormous international attention to Haiti, and it changed how some Haitians encountered the Brazilian military presence. Not tanks alone, not soldiers alone, but the strange sight of the same armored vehicles carrying Ronaldo and Ronaldinho through Port-au-Prince. Football became soft powers in its purest form. Brazil brought to Haiti something no military deployment could manufacture, affection that already existed, and for 90 minutes, it used that affection. Football has done similar things elsewhere. Perhaps the closest comparison comes from Côte d'Ivoire. In 2005, after the national team qualified for its first World Cup, Didier Drogba and his teammates famously appealed for peace in a country divided by civil war. Then, in 2007, after a peace agreement had finally been signed, Drogba made an extraordinary request: take a national team match away from the government-controlled south, played in Bouaké, the rebel capital. Côte d'Ivoire played Madagascar there. Government troops entered Bouaké for the occasion. Government and rebel forces were inside the same stadium. The national anthem was sung together. Ivory Coast won 5-0. It would be wrong to say Drogba entered the civil war with a football match. The peace agreement came first. But the match gave reconciliation a public ritual. For one afternoon, people could physically see the country reunited. Another example came in Kabul in 2013. Afghanistan against Pakistan. Two neighboring countries with decades of conflict, suspicion, and violence between them. They had not played one another in Afghanistan for more than 3 decades. The match was deliberately presented as a symbol of normalization. 6,000 people packed the stadium. Afghanistan won 3-0. Again, it didn't solve relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Football rarely solves the underlying conflict. But what it can do is create a moment in which another relationship becomes imaginable. And perhaps that is the right way to understand August 18, 2004. Not as the day football brought peace to Haiti. It didn't. But as the day Haiti briefly experienced what peace might feel like. There's one more lovely footnote. 22 years later, Haiti finally returned to the World Cup, its first appearance since 1974. And in the group stage of the 2026 World Cup, there was Haiti's opponent again, Brazil. This time, there were no UN tanks, no peacekeeping mission, no diplomatic friendly. They met because both countries had qualified for the biggest football tournament on earth. Brazil won 3-0 in Philadelphia. For Haiti, the result again hurt, but the context was completely different. In 2004, Brazil came to Haiti as world champions, peacekeeping power, and guest. In 2026, Haiti made Brazil as another World Cup team. Before we go, 3 things to take away from August 18, 2004. First, O Jogo da Paz grew directly out of Haiti's political collapse and Brazil's leadership of the new UN stabilization force. Gerard Latutu believed Brazilian football had an emotional reach that soldiers simply didn't. And second, the famous idea of trading weapons for tickets was genuine, but it was abandoned before the match. The real achievement was symbolic rather than literal disarmament. Tens of thousands of Haitians celebrating together while Brazil's football stars traveled through Port-au-Prince in UN armored vehicles. And third, football cannot make peace by itself. Haiti proves that. But Haiti, Bouaké, and Kabul also show that football can create something smaller, a shared space in which people divided by politics or violence can, briefly, imagine themselves together. On this day in 2004, Brazil beat Haiti 6-0. Ronaldinho scored 3, Oshare scored 2, Nilmar scored 1. But nobody remembers O Jogo da Paz because Brazil scored 6 goals. They remember it because for one afternoon in Port-au-Prince, the score really was the least important thing. That is all for episode 291 of OTD, your daily dose of soccer history by 17 Law Sky. Tomorrow, back to Argentina, August 19, 1950. Vélez against Huracan. Only a few minutes remain. Then a fight begins. Not 2 players, not 4, all 22. The match is suspended, and this time, the police does not arrest one footballer. No, they detain everyone. Stay tuned.